Hello guys, so let's make a progressive web apps. So what is progressive web apps? Progressive web app is just your normal website which is going to run when it's offline as well, and it's going to run is the same way as your native app, but it's going to run from the Chrome browser itself. So what I mean by that, don't worry, throughout this video you will know everything you need to know about progressive web apps. And let's get started. So first of all, what I have is this UI design, and this UI design contains these three images, this index.html page and style.css page. It doesn't mean that you need to have all of these same code and same index.html, same css and same images. You can have anything you want that you want your web app to look like, and you can create the index.html or any other, give any other name to this page and just create that page of your own and turn it into a progressive web apps. Now before I start the video, I also want to say that this video is going to be comparatively longer, and I'm going to speak with little bit slowly so that I can make sure that you understand whatever I'm saying in a proper manner. So this video is going to take a lot of patience, and if you don't have that patience, you can of course go to your setting and increase the speed of the video in the YouTube as well. Now, as I already mentioned that I have created this UI design, and I have created this index.html and a style.css page, and I also said that you don't need to have this same code. You can just change any of your website or in any of your web page into a progressive web apps. But still, if you want the same code and if you want to make the same thing as I do, then you can just go to my YouTube channel, check my previous video, and you can see the video where I created this whole page. So I can go to this, copy the path and just paste the path so you can see what it looks like. So I have created this, and it is also responsive. If I'm going to this inspect, and you can see here it is responsive as well. So you can just watch my previous video while I make this index.html page, this style.css, and make it responsive. I have this video in my YouTube channel. You can go and check it out there. So let's get started with progressive web apps. So what I mean by progressive web apps, this is just our normal website, but if you want to make it a progressive web apps, then the first thing we need is that we save this data somewhere in our cache so that it works offline. That is the important thing. How to make progressive web apps, how to cache your data, and so that you can use it and display it when you are offline. Now let's go to our application after inspect, and this application is going to be your best friend when you are going to create a progressive web apps. Alright, so inside application you can see here Serviceworker and this cache storage. So we're going to work with these two. We're going to save cache of this index.html page and display it when we are offline, so that the user can feel that yes, this is not a web browser, however this is just like something like a native app. So first of all, if I'm going to click this offline here and refresh this page, it is still working when it is offline, and that is because it is getting all the data from my local computer. Okay, so that's why it's still working when it's offline. So let's make it online, and let's install a Chrome web server. So we can type that web server for Chrome, and I can just go to the Chrome web store, and you can see here that I have already installed this Chrome web server. So I can launch app, and if you haven't installed, install it and launch app. So after I launch this app, it's going to open the server. Yes, so after opening the server, I can choose the folder which I want to run in this server. I go to local disk C. Inside here I have this XAMPP. Inside XAMPP is content htdocs, and I have this UX UI design. So UI design and OK, and I can just click in this server and run this project in the server. Now this is not running from our actual local host, our local computer, but it's running from the server, which means if I'm going to make this offline now, go to our application, go to this offline, and then refresh it, it's not going to work. And this is not what we want to display in our progressive web apps. Whenever even if we are don't have an internet connection, we want to show something in our progressive web apps, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. So I can just go to my Visual Studio Code, and inside here I have this index.html and style.css page. Now in progressive web app we have this thing called Serviceworker. Now, as explained, service worker is a type of web worker. It is essentially a JavaScript file that runs separately from the main browser thread, intercepting network requests, caching or retrieving resource from cache, and delivering push messages. So it does three important things. That is, first, it creates the caches, it intercepts the network request, and it also helps in delivering the push messages. So there's a lot of things that service worker do, and this is the best tools we need for creating our progressive web app. So let's get it started, make it online, and if I'm going to refresh it, it's going to show something, of course, because it is online now. I can go out here and initialize and register our service worker. To register our service worker, I shall go to this index.html page, create a script here. Alright. Okay. So after creating a script, as I already told you that the service worker is just a JavaScript file. So we should first check whether our navigator or our Chrome browser or any other browser supports the service worker or not. So let's say, I'm going to say if we have service worker in our navigator, which means our browser. So if I have a service worker in my navigator, I want to say navigator dot service worker dot register. Now this is going to register our service worker, but you can see here I have not created our service worker JavaScript file. So let's create it. I'm going to say it service worker dot JS, because service worker is just basically a JavaScript file. I have created the service worker.js, and if our browser supports the service worker, I'm going to register it here. I'm going to say, go to my same file and say service worker.js, and you can see here the service worker.js is going to be registered. Now since this is an asynchronous function, it's going to receive the response and error as well. So it's going to get the response in this then function where I get response, and when I get response, what I want to do is console.log, and I'm going to say service worker has been registered. I'm going to say service worker has been registered. Now it also respond with some error. It might respond with an error, and I'm going to cache that error like this, and I'm going to say console.log. I'm going to say that service worker was not registered, and I also want to display the error itself. Now after I completed this, that the service worker has been registered, I can say in our else statement, go out here and say else. If the service worker is not in our navigator, then we want to say that console.log, and I want to say service worker not supported. So what we are doing here is we are checking in our browser where the service worker is in our navigator or not. And if that is the case, if there is a service worker in our navigator, we want to register this service worker.js file we just created here. And after the registration is done, since it is an asynchronous function, it's going to receive two things. First is response, or it might return some error. So we're going to cache that response with this then function, and we're going to display that service worker has been registered. But if we get some error in the process, we want to log that service worker was not registered. But what if there is no service worker in the navigator? And we go to else statement and say that service worker is not supported. So after this, the service worker has been registered. Now let's go to our browser. I'm going to say and go to our console and refresh this page, and it's going to say that service worker has been registered, which means it supports our browser, and the service worker.js has been registered itself. Go to application now, and I'm going to go out here and create our service worker file. Now how does the service worker works? Now service worker works in form of events. So what I mean by events is that there are different events in which service worker does its tasks. Now first event that it does is install event. Sorry. So in the install event, what happened is that it installs the service worker, but also with installation Another thing it does, and that is, let's say, instead of installation itself, it also install the service worker, but before installing service worker, it does something else, and that is it create a cache file. It creates the cache file where we cache our data from our website. Okay, so this is the first thing that it does. It is install the service worker, where it also creates the cache file. Second event is our activate event. So in this activate event, what it does is it activates the service worker, but it also delete the previous service worker caches. Yes, so service worker has their own caches. Each service worker is going to create its own caches when it is installed and activates. So when we activate the next service worker, the previous service worker that had just been installed will stop working, and we will not need their cache file. So it's the perfect time to delete those cache files, and that's what we're going to do here, and that is manage or cache file. Okay, so after register or activating a new service worker, we do not need the cache file of previous service worker, so that we can delete those cache files. And the last thing it does is fetch, where it handles network request. So these are the three events that the service worker will work with. So let's get started with working with service worker itself. Now, first thing we want to create is give a cache name. So we're going to create a cache name, call it a variable, and say our cache name. I'm going to call it version 1, just for a demo purpose. Now, after I created the cache name, I'm going to create a file that needs to be cached. Files that need to be cached. I'm going to create a variable, call it a files, or I can say cache files, and then create an array. And inside this array, I can give the value or the name path of the file that need to be cached. So the first file that I want to catch is the root file itself. The second file that I want to catch is index.html. So index.html. The third file I want to catch is style.css, and then I also want to catch my images, image1.jpg. Just copy this and paste it twice. So this is image 2 and this is image 3. And I can just remove this last column. So we have created the array of cache files where we have given the path of each our files that we want to catch. Now, after creating the cache file, let's install the service worker. So how do we install the service worker? With the service worker, with this self, which is a global object for our service worker, I'm going to say add event listener, and it's going to listen to an event. As I already said, that service worker works with the event, so this is the event that is going to work with, and this is the install event that the service worker is going to work with, where we get to install the service worker itself. So let's install the event, and it's going to get an event here, and inside this event I can go out here, and then I can just going to say that event.waitUntil. So what does this event.waitUntil does? So of course we are installing the service worker right here, but before installing the service worker, what we want to do is create our cache file. As I wrote here already, that before installing the service worker itself, we want to cache this file and create our cache. So that's why we're saying wait until we create our cache file, and after we create our cache file, you can go and install the service worker itself. That means this wait until is going to extend this event and perform both tasks. First we're going to create a cache file, and then it's going to install. So let's get started with creating a cache file. I can call this caches, and I'm going to say .open, so we can open our cache and we can create a new cache here. So caches.open, and I'm going to say here give our cache name. So this is going to create a new cache which is going to have our cache name, that is v1. So this is going to create a cache with name v1. Okay, so this is going to create a cache. Now this is an asynchronous function itself, so this is going to get an response, and we're going to get a response in form of cache. So I'm going to say like this, and inside cache what we're going to return is return cache dot add all, and what I want to add is our cache files. Okay, so this works. Now after it get the response in 10, it might also get some error, and we want to show that error as well. So I'm going to say error, and I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to say console.log, and I'm going to log out that problem when creating cache, and I'm going to display the error as well. So after this we have created our cache. Now we also want to go out here and go out of this wait until function where we created our cache, and we're going to say console.log, and we can see that Serviceworker has been installed. Serviceworker installed. Now after doing the Serviceworker install, we also want to add one more thing, that is self, that is Serviceworker dot skip waiting. The reason we use this skip waiting is because when the Serviceworker is installed, it does not act immediately. That means it needs some navigation or refresh. We need to refresh the page before making that install Serviceworker go to work. So instead of that, what we can do is write this self skip waiting. So you're going to skip the waiting and just does it work after it's installed. That means it do not wait and just skip the waiting and just go to the work for our browser. That means that it's going to run as fast as possible, and it's going to run just after its installation, that it doesn't wait, and that's why we are using this self.skip waiting. So after that, the Serviceworker has been installed. What we want to do is activate our Serviceworker. So let's write self again and go say add event listener, and inside our add event listener we want to call an event called activate. So we created an activate event, and it's going to provide us with an event. We can go to that event, and as I said earlier, in our activate event we not only activate the Serviceworker, but what we also do is manage our old cache file. That means if there is any old cache file of old Serviceworker, previously working Serviceworker, we might want to delete this because we are going to create a new Serviceworker with new cache from here. So let's go out here, and we're going to say again event.waitUntil. So I think I don't need to explain what this event.waitUntil is. So event.waitUntil. So what to wait for? We want to wait until we delete our previous cache if you find it. So we're going to say caches.keys. So what this will does is provide all the name of the caches. So it provide the name of cache. So it provide all the name of the caches, and that's the function of this caches.key. So after that, caches.keys, what we can do here is go to our then function, because it's a synchronous function and we receive some response, and the response is going to be cache names, because cache keys provide cache names, and we're going to get the cache name in our response in our then. Okay, in our then function. So I get the cache name from the cache keys. So what I want to do with this cache names is I'm going to say cache names and dot, and I'm going to say map. So it's going to map these caches and give me the name of the cache. So I'm just going to give me the name of the cache. So this cache is actually the name of all the caches we have in our cache file. So I'm going to go out here, and inside this cache what I want to do is compare that if this cache we get is not equals to our cache name, and if this is the case, we might want to delete our previous cache. So I'm going to say that return so I'm going to say return and caches self.delete, and we want to delete this cache which has the same name as we do not have the same name as our previous cache. So this is, in this way we can delete our previous cache of our previous service worker, so that we do not get some storage issues. And we might want to do that when we are activating our new service worker. So I hope you understood what I'm doing here. And before this deleting the cache, let also console.log. I want to log that we are deleting the cache file, so we don't get lost if we get any error. So deleting old cache files, and I also want to display the cache, which is our cache name. So this is done. Now we have activated our service worker, and we have also deleted if there is any previous cache which has not the same name as our new cache which of our service worker. So after all of this is done, we might want to go and check here something. If I'm going to refresh this page, it's going to say service worker has been restored and service worker has been installed. And if I'm going to go our application and check in our service worker, there is the service worker is activated and is running. And if I'm going to go to this cache storage, you can see here the new cache has been created and its name is v1 with all these cache files. So everything is set perfectly. But if I go to the service worker and go offline here and then refresh this page, it's not going to show me any of our data from the cache. That's because we haven't used our last event, that is our fetch event. So let's use this fetch event to fetch our caches from our service with the help of our service worker. So I'm going to say self again .addEventListener, and this time the event is the fetch event. So fetch event, and it's going to get an event. Inside this event, what we might want to do is create a network request. Now before creating the network request, I also forgot one small thing here. After this wait until, as you can see here, after this wait until, I have created this skip self.skip waiting. So just like that, we also want to return here. So return self.clients.claim. So we might want to return self.client.claim. So what this does is it does the same work as self.skip waiting, because it's going to say that do not wait for any event, just act upon created. Just when the service worker is activated, just go up and running and do your job. Do not wait for anything. So this is both the same thing that's going to load or help the service worker to work instantaneously after it's been installed or activated. So let's make this error go away. So return self.client.claim. So now let's come back to our fetch event, where we are fetching or where we are handling the network request. So while handling the network request and fetching the data to our progressive web apps, there are a lot of ways we can do it. So first of all, we might want to go to our network, get the data, and then save it inside cache, or we might want to go to our cache file, display the data from cache file, and have the network running again on background or just refreshing again. So it just depends upon how you want to handle your cache files. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say that we want cache falling back to network method, which means if we first might want to go to our cache file, and if we have some cache data in our cache file, we want to display that. And if we don't have any cache data in our cache file, we might want to go back to our network and get the data from there. So this is the cache first or cache falling back to network method that I'm going to use. And as I said earlier, I hope you understand. Let me explain it one more time. I'm going to first go to our cache file. If we have a data in our cache file, I want to display that data in our progressive web apps. And if we don't have the cache data in our cache file that we want, then we want to go to our network and get the data from there. So for this, I want to say that since I have this event, I can change how this event is going to respond. So I'm going to say event.respond with. So I can change the way this event will respond. and inside here I can select this global object called caches. Inside caches I can say dot match. So if our caches matches our event request, so when we are fetching, we are sending a request that I want this particular data in, and if our caches has that particular data, I'm going to say if our caches.match those event.request, what I want to do then is that I get the response, and after I get the response I can say return that response, and if there is no response then I can also say fetch from event.request. So this works. Now let me explain it one more time. So while fetching, we are actually changing how we want to respond with our event. So first of all, we are matching with our cache that if the request that is made by the event is in our cache or not, and if that is the case, it's going to respond me. And when it responds me, if we have that particular data that we want to show in our cache and in our cache file, and we want to display that and we want to return with that. But in case we don't have that, we want to go to our network, and with that request we want to get the data from our network. So this is just the basic way of caching. There is also several ways. You can check out the documentation for network first or cache first, or sending a request to both of them at the same time, and you can learn a lot more about that. So I want to do this, save it and go out here and refresh it. Now I'm going to change it into online and refresh this page, and you can see here everything is set. But now when I go to offline and then refresh this page, you can see here that no data is lost because we are successfully cached this data and get it to display here. Now even if now let me minimize this thing, go out to our, even if I close the server right now, go out here and make this offline as well. So this is offline, server is not working, and I'm still refreshing the page. You can see here I still get the data even the server is not working. And this is the best part about progressive web apps. You can load the cache data and display so that the user doesn't feel that they are lost, and still the user can see something in your web apps even they are not online, even they are offline. So this works great. Now let me show you one more thing. The one more thing that I want to show you is how the activation part is working. So as I told here, when a service worker is activated, before we activate a service worker, is the perfect time to delete our old cache file, because we are creating the new cache file again from this service worker. So how that is going to work? Let's say if I'm going to change something in our style.css, we have this gradient background. I'm just going to copy this background with the same color and paste the same color here and paste it here as well. Now I'm going to save it. After I save it, I can go to our cache name. I'm going to change this cache name to v10. So our cache name has been changed. Now I'm going to start the server. After starting the server, I might want to go to our Chrome browser, create it online and refresh this page. Now when I am refreshing this page, you can see here a new service worker is installing and is activated. The name of the service worker number has been changed, and even our cache file has just been changed. If I'm going to go into this style.css, you can see here now our cache file is perfectly changed and everything has the same color name right here. So this is why I say that while activation you need to delete your old cache, because our new cache contains the new data with new service worker itself. Now if I'm going to refresh it, you can see here every page has the same color, and it's not like the previous one. Everyone has the same, every content has the same background color. Now if I'm going to go to this application, this service worker, make it offline and then refresh this page, and it still works perfectly because new service worker has been activated and new cache file has just been installed. So that is how you can create a progressive web apps. I hope I was helpful to you, and I hope you like this video. Please hit like and subscribe if you do, and you can see here how great progressive web apps we just created. I hope you learned something new today, and if you did, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much.